Okay, I want you to close your eyes for a second.
Yeah.
Seriously, humor me. Imagine a scenario. You're stuck inside your house. Not for like a week, not for a month, but for 200 years. And you're not stuck because of a lockdown or, a blizzard. You are stuck because you are an eternally youthful sorcerer who just really, really, really prefers the indoors.
I mean, honestly, that sounds like a dream scenario for about half the people I know. But 2 centuries, that is a long, long time to avoid vitamin D.
It is. But here's the kicker. The only thing that finally gets you to open that front door, to break a 2-century streak of being a hermit, it isn't a burning building. It's not a lack of snacks. It's your dog. Your dog just looks at you and essentially says, we are going for a walk, and we are going right now.
And that right there is just the perfect entry point into the world we're exploring today.
It really is. Today we're doing a deep dive into the newly announced anime adaptation of a series with one of the most charmingly long titles I've seen in a while, The Eternal Fool's Words of Wisdom. A positively fantastic adventure.
It's quite a mouthful, yeah, but it does tell you pretty much exactly what you're in for.
It does. But we need to look past the title today. Because our mission isn't just to tell you, hey, this anime is coming out.
Yeah.
We want to really unpack the announcement, sure. But more importantly, we need to dig into the pedigree of the source material. Because there's a lot of history here that I think people might miss. And we need to analyze this character dynamic. Recluse wizard and his completely overpowered dog.
Is this just another fantasy trope, or is it actually doing something new?
That's the key question, right? Because let's be honest, the fantasy genre is absolutely saturated. You can't throw a rock without hitting an isekai or a magic school. But looking at the source material here, this isn't your typical dark, gritty, grimdark fantasy where everyone's miserable and it rains all the time. This is a story that promises whimsical magic, genuine humor, and a lot of heart. It's fantasy, but it's the kind that feels like a warm hug rather than, a punch in the gut. I am absolutely ready for a warm hug fantasy. So let's get into the news. Get ready to pull out your wands and leash up your familiars because this is happening.
It is. The news officially broke via an X account, formerly Twitter, announcing that the Eternal Fool's Words of Wisdom is getting a TV anime adaptation.
I saw that and I immediately felt that spark of excitement. But it's a bit of a tease, isn't it?
It really is. It's what we'd call a soft announcement. We know it's happening, but the specific creative team, the voice cast, the premiere date, all still under wraps.
Oh, that kills me. I desperately want to know who is voicing the dog.
We all do, but that mystery, it actually serves a purpose. It lets the community speculate. It builds that anticipation. But even though the anime details are fresh and we're all on the edge of our seats for a trailer, the story itself has some serious pedigree. This isn't some brand new idea that just popped up on a web forum yesterday.
Right, and I think this is where a lot of people might be surprised. Lay it on us. Where'd this come from?
So the series comes from the minds of Hifumi and Kurihito Muto. And when I say there's history, I mean it. The light novel series spans 14 volumes.
14 volumes. Okay, hold on. Put that in perspective for us. In the world of light novels, is that a lot?
Oh, it's significant. In this industry, it is huge. You have to understand, a lot of light novels, they kind of fizzle out after 3 or 4 volumes if they don't catch fire immediately.
Or they just go on that infinite hiatus we all dread.
Exactly. A 14-volume run implies consistency. It implies a story that had time to breathe, to grow, and most importantly, to reach a defined conclusion.
That is actually huge for an anime adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been burned by shows that catch up to the books and then have to make up a weird ending or just stop mid-arc.
Precisely. This solves the pacing problem so many adaptations have. The studio has a massive finished sandbox to play in. They know the beginning, the middle, and the end before they even draw the first frame.
That gives me so much more confidence in this project. And for our listeners who are thinking, well, I don't want to wait for the anime, I want to know what happens now, there is an ongoing manga, right?
Yes, illustrated by Fuaraki. And here's the best part for our listeners. It's available on Crunchyroll Manga thanks to J Novel Club. So accessibility is high. You can dive into this world today if you want.
That is key. I love being able to read ahead. But I want to go back to the text itself for a second. Why adapt a series that finished its novel run in, 2019? That's 5 or 6 years ago. Usually anime is used to sell current books. Is this a nostalgia play?
I don't think so. I think it speaks to the quality of the tapestry, as the source material describes it. It's called a tapestry woven with fantasy tropes that never feels stale. I think the endurance of this series suggests that Hifumi and Muto found a way to remix those tropes into something that just feels fresh, regardless of the year. It's not just about the fireballs, it's about the feelings.
Speaking of fireballs and feelings, let's talk about our leading man, or I guess our leading eternal youth. Let's unpack Asley. The source calls him an eternally youthful sorcerer. How literal are we talking?
Extremely literal. Asley has been alive for 2 millennia. 2,000.
2,000 years. I mean, I feel old when I find a receipt in my pocket from 3 years ago. I cannot imagine the psychological weight of 2,000 years of memory.
It's almost unfathomable. But the most interesting part of his timeline isn't just the total length, it's the recent history. The source material tells us he's been holed up in his own world for the last 200 years.
Wait, 2 centuries of total isolation. Just him, his house, and his magic.
And his dog, which is crucial. But yeah, think about the psychological weight of that. The text explicitly mentions that most would crumble under that much solitude.
Oh, absolutely. Humans are social creatures, even wizards, I presume. I go stir-crazy after a 3-day weekend if I don't talk to anyone. How is he still sane?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It suggests a certain resilience or maybe a delightful kind of eccentricity. You don't spend 200 years alone without developing some quirks. But it also sets up the inciting incident perfectly. When you have been static for 200 years, the energy required to move, to break that inertia, is immense. He needs a massive reason to leave.
And the reason isn't save the princess or stop the meteor.
No. It's a quest for redemption.
Redemption for what?
Well, according to the source, he needs to scrub clean his not-so-glamorous reputation.
Hold on. He's 2,000 years old. He's been hiding for 200 years. What kind of reputation lasts that long? Usually people forget your embarrassing moments after, like, a week.
In a magical world, legends last, and apparently shame lasts even longer. The title of the series itself, The Eternal Fool, that gives us a clue. That is not a cool nickname like the Black Swordsman. That is an insult. He isn't feared, he's mocked. And that is such a refreshing motivation. He's not trying to save the world, not at first. He's trying to stop people from making fun of him.
It's so relatable. We've all wanted to hide away after doing something embarrassing. Asley just took it to the extreme and hid for 2 centuries.
Exactly. And this brings us to the catalyst, the force that finally breaks that inertia. We have to talk about Pochi.
Pochi, the good boy, the best boy.
Pochi is Asley's trusty canine companion, but calling him trusty is a bit of an understatement.
Major understatement. The source material drops a detail about Pochi that made me laugh out loud. He isn't just a dog. He is a level 100 familiar. Now, for anyone who doesn't play RPGs, break that down for us. Why is that number so funny?
So, a familiar in fantasy is usually a magical servant, a cat, a raven, something that obeys the wizard. They're an extension of the wizard's will, and usually they are weaker than the master. But level 100, in gaming terms, that is the level cap. That is endgame content. That is, I can kill a god levels of power.
So the dog is basically a nuclear weapon with fur?
Essentially. It completely flips the traditional boy and his dog dynamic. Usually, the human protects the pet. Here, you get the sense that Pochi is the one calling the shots because he can back it up.
And he literally is. The text says Pochi's the one who demands fresh air.
Yep. After 200 years, Pochi essentially puts his paw down, he demands a walk, and because he is a level 100 familiar, you don't really say no to Pochi.
Walkies takes on a whole new meaning when it's level 100 beast asking for it.
It does, and this sets up the core relationship. Pochi offers what the text calls well-meaning but often overbearing advice.
Oh, I can just picture it, the nagging friend. Asley, put on your shoes. Asley, we're going outside. Asley, stop moping about your reputation.
Precisely. It's Asley grappling with this guidance that drives the whole story. It frames the narrative not just as an adventure, but as this kind of relationship drama between a man and his dog. It's that relatable dynamic of needing a push from a friend, even if that friend is covered in fur and is way more powerful than you are.
It's the buddy cop movie we didn't know we needed. The anxious wizard and the overpowered dog. So they step outside. What kind of world are they stepping into? We know it's humorous, but is there actual danger?
There is. The sources are careful to remind us that there's formidable evil lurking and a bustling world in need of saving. But the way they approach that danger seems unique to this show's vibe.
I saw something mentioned called the Familiar Feud. That sounds like a game show.
It does, doesn't it? The source says Asley might help Pochi secure a win in this competition. It hints at a tournament arc, a total staple of the genre, but focused on the pets.
I'm picturing a magical dog show, like Westminster, but with, fire breath and levitation.
And considering Pochi is level 100, you have to imagine he's the favorite to win. But the comedy probably comes from Asley trying to manage Pochi's power without causing a disaster, or trying to make it seem fair when his dog is clearly overqualified.
Or just Asley trying to keep up. Heel, Pochi, don't destroy the stadium.
Exactly. And the text also hints at the possibility of a laughably graceful retreat.
A laughably graceful retreat. That is such a specific image. It implies Asley isn't the guy who stands his ground and delivers a hero monologue.
No, he's the guy who realizes he's in over his head and just backs away slowly while smiling. It reinforces that whole silliness and sorcery blend the source talks about. It paints a picture of a charming world, that's the phrase they use, where magic and humor just intertwine. It's not just that funny things happen, it seems like the magic itself is part of the joke.
And visually, we have one detail that I just love. The text mentions impenetrable wizard hats.
Yes, impenetrable.
Does that mean they're physically hard? Or just really, really stylish? Like fashion's so good it can't be penetrated by criticism.
I love that interpretation. Maybe they're actual armor. Or perhaps it's a metaphor for how stubborn wizards are, but it gives us a visual cue. Big hats, big magic, big laughs. It feels like cozy fantasy with a kick.
Cozy fantasy with a kick. I like that.
It fits. We're seeing a lot of cozy fantasy right now. Slow life, farming, cooking. But this isn't just farming, it's adventuring. The core isn't kill the Demon King, it's fix my reputation and walk my dog. But the world around them is still high stakes.
And survive my dog's advice.
That too. It's about the journey of stepping out of your comfort zone. Asley has been comfortable for 200 years. Too comfortable.
He's the ultimate creature of habit.
He is, and Pochi is the agent of chaos, or, well, the agent of change.
You know, it makes me think we always look for the chosen one in these stories. The teenager who finds a sword in a stone. But here, we have a 2,000-year-old man who has seen it all, done it all, messed it all up, and just wants to hide. That is a refreshing protagonist.
It is. It allows for a different kind of storytelling. He has history, he has context. When he walks into a town, he might remember what it looked like 500 years ago.
Oh, that's true. Back in my day, this castle was a swamp.
Exactly. But because he's been inside for the last 200 years, he's also totally out of touch. He's both ancient and ignorant of the modern world. That gap is where all the comedy lives.
He's a Rip Van Winkle wizard.
Precisely. And watching him navigate a bustling world that has moved on without him, with a level 100 dog dragging him along, that is a recipe for some great entertainment.
I am so ready for this. It sounds like the Eternal Fool's words of wisdom is going to be a blast.
It really does. It promises magic, adventure, and that healthy dose of humor we all need.
So, to recap for everyone listening, we have a 2,000-year-old recluse wizard named Asley, who is famously foolish. I've got his level 100 dog, Pochi, who is basically the boss.
They're leaving the house after 200 years to fix Asley's bad reputation.
And they're entering a world of familiar feuds and impenetrable hats.
All based on a complete 14-volume light novel series, so the story is deep and rich.
It's the perfect storm. And honestly, it's a great reminder for all of us. How so? Well, sometimes we all need a Pochi. Maybe we haven't been inside for 200 years, hopefully not. But we all get stuck in our ruts. We all get a little too comfortable. Sometimes you just need that friend or that pet or that sudden motivation to drag you out the door and say, hey, there's a whole world out there. Let's go look at it.
That's a beautiful takeaway. Pochi is the catalyst we all need. Knowledge and comfort are great, but they don't mean much if you stay locked in your power forever. You have to go out and apply them. You have to experience that bustling world.
Even if it means risking a laughably graceful retreat.
Especially then.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought, a question that's been bugging me since we started reading about this.
What's that?
The text mentions Asley's trying to shed embarrassing titles. Plural. We know he's the eternal fool. That's bad enough. But he's been alive for 2,000 years. What other titles could he possibly have earned 200 years ago that were so bad, so humiliating, that they made a powerful sorcerer lock himself away for 2 entire centuries?
That is the question. Was it a magical mishap? A fashion disaster? Or did he just say the wrong thing to the wrong dragon?
I bet it's something incredibly petty that he just couldn't live down.
Yeah.
That's the mystery I want our listeners to chew on. Sometimes the stakes aren't life or death. Sometimes they're just social suicide.
We'll have to wait for the anime or read the manga on Crunchyroll to find out.
Definitely. Keep your eyes peeled for updates on the release date and the cast. We will be watching this one closely.
Absolutely.
Thanks for diving in with us. Go walk your dog. Go find an adventure. And we'll catch you next time.
See you then.